Welcome to the Moral Minority Report. I am Brian C. Alston. Today, we address a convergence that threatens global stability. Nuclear terrorism risks amplified by AI, a moral analysis using the multidimensional moral intelligence framework, Moral Quotient, and moral math. For decades, nuclear terrorism has been considered a low-probability, high-consequence threat. But the advent of AI has changed that calculus forever. Artificial intelligence dramatically lowers the barriers to nuclear terrorism, while simultaneously increasing the potential scale, speed, and sophistication of an attack. The crisis is not that terrorists suddenly gained new intentions. It is that AI gives them entirely new capabilities that were previously reserved for nation-states, and the institutions responsible for preventing nuclear terrorism have not adapted. They are fighting an algorithmic war with analog tools. The failures documented in nuclear power and moral intelligence reappear, intensified in the nuclear AI terrorism domain. Let's examine why. First, cybersecurity blind spots. Nuclear facilities were designed for physical security and human adversaries, not for AI-driven cyber attacks. They were not designed for autonomous intrusion or the algorithmic exploitation of vulnerabilities that can be identified in milliseconds by an AI. Second, intelligence fragmentation. AI-enabled threats cross borders, agencies, and jurisdictions with ease. Yet, our response remains siloed. This is an MQ communication failure. Intelligence systems remain fragmented while the threat is unified and accelerated by AI. Third, proliferation of dual-use AI tools. AI models designed for chemistry, physics, and engineering are being repurposed for destruction. These tools can optimize radiological dispersal or identify weak points in nuclear facilities. We are handing the blueprints to those who seek to harm. Fourth, weak global governance. There is no binding global framework for AI-enabled nuclear terrorism or AI-assisted radiological design. This is a vacuum of accountability. We are entering the most dangerous era of human history with the weakest legal protections ever recorded. Fifth, corporate irresponsibility. AI companies release powerful models without safety guardrails, misuse monitoring, or global coordination. Values are misaligned with actions. When profit and speed take precedence over existential safety, we face a profound MQ integrity failure. Sixth, the public misinformation ecosystem. Deepfakes and AI propaganda can incite panic and destabilize governments, creating the chaos terrorists love. When we can no longer attribute an attack or even verify the truth, justice becomes impossible. Terrorism thrives in the shadows of AI-generated chaos. To understand the solution, we must first map the actors. Who holds the power and who bears the burden of this risk? The primary actors include nuclear regulators, intelligence agencies, and the tech giants developing these AI models. They hold the highest responsibility. Secondary actors like the IAEA and Interpol are essential, but they lack the binding authority to enforce safety in the digital domain. And then there are the affected populations. Civilians in urban centers are the most vulnerable, yet they have the least say in how these systems are governed. Let's apply the multidimensional moral intelligence framework to this crisis. We'll examine 7 pillars of moral intelligence. First, moral awareness. A morally intelligent system would recognize that AI lowers the barrier to nuclear terrorism. Current awareness is partial and reactive. Second, moral vision. A healthy future requires global AI safety standards. Instead, we see nationalistic competition and short-term thinking. Third, moral understanding. History shows that nuclear materials leak and security fails. AI accelerates these failures. We are ignoring the lessons of the past. Fourth, moral courage. Courage requires regulating the giants of industry. Currently, that courage is absent in the face of political and corporate resistance. Fifth, moral communication. A morally intelligent system communicates risk honestly. Today, communication is minimized, classified, and filtered. Sixth, moral decision-making. Decisions are driven by corporate incentives, not global safety. We are failing our responsibility to future generations. Finally, moral action. Concrete steps remain inadequate. There is no global treaty, and international coordination is dangerously weak. Now let's look at the moral math. Every technological advance has a balance sheet. What is the true cost of unregulated AI? On the benefit side, AI can enhance detection, improve surveillance of nuclear materials, and identify trafficking networks. These are real gains, but the costs are catastrophic. Autonomous delivery systems, cyber attacks on facilities, and the collapse of the information ecosystem. When we multiply high probability by catastrophic consequence, the result is existential moral risk. This is not a risk we can afford to take. Every unregulated AI system creates a moral debt, a vulnerability passed to future generations that cannot be repaid with money or apologies. But there is a moral opportunity. If governed well, AI can strengthen global security and reduce the risk of nuclear terrorism. The choice is ours. Let's look at the MQ, or Moral Quotient, assessment. This is our report card for the current state of global AI nuclear security. Awareness scores a 5 out of 10. We see the risk, but aren't acting. Empathy is a tragic 3 out of 10. We are ignoring the vulnerability of the global public. Integrity is at a 4 and courage is a 3. We are unwilling to regulate the technology that could end our civilization. Stewardship and accountability are failing at 2 out of 10. The overall MQ is 2.9, a state of severe moral deficit. This is a red alert. This is not theoretical. We are already seeing the warning signs in the real world. Let's look at the evidence. We've seen AI-assisted cyber attacks on critical infrastructure. These aren't just hacks. They are precision strikes on the systems that keep us safe. Deepfake propaganda is being used by extremist groups to destabilize entire regions. In a nuclear context, this can trigger a response based on a lie. 4. Create a global AI nuclear threat intelligence network. We need real-time, cross-border information sharing to stay ahead of the algorithm. And AI is already being used for chemical and biological threat modeling. Nuclear modeling is the next logical and terrifying step. We are at a crossroads, but we are not helpless. Here are the actionable moral reforms required to secure our future. 1. Establish a global AI nuclear security treaty. It must be binding, enforceable, and completely transparent across all nations. 2. Regulate dual-use AI models. We must mandate safety guardrails and ensure that powerful technology cannot be repurposed for terror. 3. Harden nuclear facilities against AI-enabled cyber attacks. We must move to zero-trust architectures to protect our most sensitive assets. 4. Create a global AI nuclear threat intelligence network. We need real-time, cross-border information sharing to stay ahead of the algorithm. 5. Mandate AI misuse monitoring by developers. Companies must be held accountable for how their models are used in the real world. 6. Require moral intelligence certification. No deployment without compliance with MMIAF, MQ, and moral math standards. Safety first. 7. Strengthen public resilience. We must educate the public and provide the tools to verify truth in an age of AI-driven misinformation. This brings us to the final word, a prophetic warning for our time. We must listen before it is too late. If AI amplifies nuclear terrorism, the next crisis may not come from a nation, but from an algorithm that no one can control. If we fail to regulate AI, we hand unprecedented power to those who seek to harm. We are giving away our security for the sake of convenience. If we ignore this convergence, we risk a catastrophe that no one intended. This is the moral crossroads of our time. The clock is ticking. The path we choose today will determine whether the future is safe or unthinkable. I am Brian Alston. It is time to choose moral intelligence. Thank you for joining me. For more information and to support our mission, visit Moral Minority Report. Peace be with you.